Hey, I'm John, and today I'm going to be planting some raspberries. So I have 6 raspberries here to plant. I have 2 in pots, and I have 4 bare root raspberry plants as well. So some of you may recognize this area if you've seen my veggie garden videos before. This is where I like to grow some of my vegetables, and as explained in my blueberry video, which I actually did this morning, an area I wanted to dedicate to my raspberries and blueberries has been it just hasn't worked out. I haven't been able to, get the paddock slashed, and I haven't been able to have access to my property for a while. It's just a long story, but anyway, I'm going to plant some of these raspberries on the back of my veggie garden up on this chicken wire fence. So it'll be a great spot for them. This gets full sun, and it'll be just perfect. Now you'll also be able to see there are actually still a few veggies in here. I am going to very soon, probably in a couple of days, start picking some of these. So down the end there is some celery, and there are quite a few leeks there too. So step 1, of course, is to prepare the space. So I'm going to start down here. I've got my shovel and some dynamic lifter or just some compost pellets. I'm just going to gently dig up some of the soil. The soil is fairly good as it is. I just want to add some of this extra compost in there for some extra, fertilizer. So basically I'm just going to sprinkle some of this over this little area that I've dug up, and I will obviously continue on my way up. But I'm just going to sprinkle some of that fertilizer and just kind of mix it in with that existing soil. Now, so before, you can see this soil is very healthy. It is all full of worms. So now I've prepared this bit of soil. Let's start with the easy ones. Let's start with these 2 potted raspberry plants. Now I've just got these from Bunnings, my local garden store. And I'm just going to dig a little hole, pop these in, and it's very important to note that you need to bury these at the same height they are in their nursery pots. And as you can see, I'm going to be planting these against this chicken wire fence. So as they start growing up, I can tie them and just secure them to this fence so that they grow really nicely. Again, this soil is there's so many worms in here, it's crazy. All right, so my holes are dug, so let's get these in. So I'm just gonna gently squeeze this pot, and these will just pull out really nicely and easily. There we go. Now this pot is slightly root bound, so it's a good idea just to gently break up some of those roots, just like that, just so it'll grow really nicely and healthily into that new soil. Doesn't matter if you break a few, plants are generally pretty hardy and they won't be too bothered by this. I'm just going to pop that in there and just spread that soil back around. I'm just going to repeat that with the second one. And there we go, it's as simple as that. So now that these 2 raspberry plants are in, I'm going to move on with my 4 bare root plants. I'm just going to quickly prepare the garden and the soil in the exact same way, and I'll meet you back there. Alright, so I'm going to start up here with these bare root raspberry plants. I've just unwound them, that plastic around them, and they basically look like this. So they're kind of just straggly roots, and you can see new roots kind of starting and new shoots starting to grow. And you can see at the sides, it's very much time to plant these because there's new shoots growing on this woody stem. So we're going to plant this very similarly to the other raspberries. Again, remembering we want to keep, it can be a bit harder to see, but we want to keep this around the same height as it was in this dirt. We don't want to rot anything. So be very careful with these because these roots are all very young and very new. We don't want to break them like that, but that's fine, they'll all grow back. So to plant these, we want to dig just a tiny little hole, as these root systems are much smaller. And I like to put some of this kind of peat moss that came in this packaging in there, because these roots, again, are only baby young roots. We don't want to, we want them to grow nicely into nice soil. So give it a little dig, just pop it in like that. And this is good again that we have this fence that we can, support these to grow upright well. You can see the little roots, because these have been on their side, the little roots start growing up, so I'm just going to push them down into the soil so they grow in the right direction. Now I'm not going to cover these yet in soil because I actually want to get a little bit of potting mix and gently put it around those roots just so that they get the best start possible. I'm going to move on to the next 3 and then I'll show you when I come back and cover these. So I've popped them all in, and now I have just a little bit of potting mix that I've mixed with some of this remaining peat moss. And I'm just going to gently spread this around those roots, again just so that the roots can really nicely spread into the new soil. I'm just gently tapping these down just so that they're nice and firm in the ground. So now that I've got all of these in, the next important step is to mulch. So I'm just going to gently mulch around the bases of these and then give these a nice watering in. Now you need to remember when you're watering these bare root, you do not want to overwater these because they have no growth at the moment. They're not really going to be using much water. Yeah, because of these bare root varieties, they don't have any green growth or any leaves yet, so you really don't want to overwater them. Unlike the other raspberries that have leaves already, they'll be, using water to grow, the leaves will be consuming that water, whereas without all this green growth here, it will not need as much water. So hold off until you really start seeing that green growth. And the same goes for, I really like to use liquid fertilizer in my watering can, just a mix of some power feed or sea soil, anything in your watering can is great for a lot of plants. But these bare root plants, the roots, as I said, are very delicate. They can't take a lot of like heavy fertilization, all of that, which is why you just want to leave them until they start kind of producing some leaves. Go for your life on the on the raspberries with leaves already. But anyway, you can see either variety is great to work with. This is a heritage raspberry. That is what's called, just from the local hardware store, Bunnings, is Nellie Kelly. Like, they're both similar. They'll both fruit throughout the year. I will put in detail about each of them. I will write up in detail about each of these raspberries so you can read for yourself when they fruit, how big they'll get, all those things. Stay tuned. I'll give you guys updates of how my raspberries are going. As I said, once they start growing shoots up taller, I'm going to tie them to the chicken fence. And yeah, and I look forward to getting some raspberries. Thanks for watching. If you like the video, don't forget to like and subscribe to see some more updates and some more videos like this soon. See ya.